What up, Pod Squad? Welcome back to another edition of Mondays with Mehoff, the little mini episode that we bring you every week where I'm just going to discuss some Monday night football predictions as far as just NFL goes, as well as who you like to start or not start in those games, as well as some of my own personal sleeper values of the week at each position, just if you're looking for a kind of spot start or a desperation play. So starting it off here, we are going to shout out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who they hung on. We predicted them to win this past Monday night. I didn't think it would come down to the last 3 seconds of the game, but hey, a win's a win. So as a huge Tom Brady fan, I'm a big fan of that. I was pumped. Thank God they turned it on for the last 3 minutes or so, but keeps the Tampa Bay Buccaneers season alive and keeps me going strong this Monday night challenge for the season at 11-3 through 13 weeks. So not too shabby considering some of these games have been pretty crazy, weird upsets and things have happened. So we're going strong. We're going to try to make it to 12-3 this week. So getting into it, we've got the New England Patriots at 6-6 coming into town to face the Arizona Cardinals, who are at 4-8. New England's only favored by 1.5. They are the road team, so that 3-point play comes into effect here. But Arizona's season pretty much seems done. I mean, they've had issues with injuries all year, as well as just kind of some poor coaching. So on the other side of the ball, New England's kind of staying alive. They're 6-6. Somehow that means that they're the last place in their division, which is crazy. It's a tough AFC East battle, but they are only one game behind the Jets, and that means they're one game out of the 7th seed in the playoffs for the AFC, which is pretty insane to see. So kind of feels like a must-win game for them this week. Before I get into my specific predictions for the score, just a few guys that I want to shout out as far as kind of who to start or who not to start. Like I mentioned, Arizona's had issues with injuries. This is actually only the second game all season that they're going to have Kyler, James Conner, DeAndre Hopkins, and Hollywood Brown all active together. So, I mean, they've got the star power to do it. It's just been kind of some cohesiveness issues of getting everybody on the field together. So, as far as Arizona goes, Kyler, obviously, I mean, you pretty much start him unless you're in like a dynasty league and you've got two great quarterback options. I doubt in a regular league that you're going to have many guys you would start over him. He seems like a safe play, probably for like a low QB1. The only reason I say that, usually I'm higher on him to put up stats, but New England's defense is just pretty solid, so I don't expect Kyler to be going off, but I don't think he's going to put up a dud game for you. He gets enough done on the ground with his legs, so I feel like he's probably safe for like, an 18 to 20 point range maybe is kind of what you're hoping for as far as a good day. So Kyler, a low QB1, kind of temper your expectations. James Conner, I would say, is more of like a volume play, low RB2. I don't think he's going to be doing great for you. You're basically hoping for a touchdown, but he does have a touchdown in the last 3 straight weeks, and he has 68 touches over those 3 weeks. So we're averaging like almost 23 touches a game, which is pretty crazy. I mean, he's getting all of the work there. So, if you're in a half PPR or full PPR, maybe he gets a couple dump outs and that helps you. Otherwise, like I said, you're hoping for a short yardage touchdown. I think if you have him, I wouldn't find a way to take him out of your lineup unless you've got great options, but I doubt that he's going to necessarily win you the week. He's just going to kind of provide a safe floor. As far as the wide receiver options, or receiving options, I should say, you're not really looking at anybody at tight end with Zach Ertz obviously still out, but wide receiver, we got DeAndre Hopkins, who's pretty much a must-start every single week, no matter what happens. He's a wide receiver 1. You put him in your lineup, you don't think about it twice. Hollywood Brown, in his first week back, actually did out-target DeAndre Hopkins, which I think a lot of people were surprised by. I don't expect that to continue necessarily, but I do expect it to be more of a divide. So I don't think Hopkins is going to have this like monster alpha target share going forward. I think they're going to spread it around a bit between both. And New England does do pretty well shutting down opposing offenses. So expect Belichick, as always, to try to take away the best option of DeAndre Hopkins, which I think could maybe open up Hollywood Brown a little bit more. I don't expect this to be a high-scoring game, so I don't think either of them are going to win you the week, but Hopkins probably a low wide receiver 1, and then Hollywood maybe a flex with upside. I mean, if he just catches a deep bomb, that pretty much sets you up for the week right there. So I'd put them both in if you had one or the other. Obviously, Hopkins above Hollywood if you have both for some reason, but yeah, they're just kind of tempering expectations across the board for Arizona. On the New England side of the ball, it's a lot easier. You're not starting Mac Jones. Jacoby Myers is out for the wide receiving core, which means I guess Devontae Parker is the next best one. I still wouldn't start him. I mean, unless you're really struggling and you are streaming deep for wide receivers, I don't think that this means anything for him. If anything, I think it really only impacts Hunter Henry, who I feel like is a low tight end 1 this week. He's done pretty well. He's going against the 30th best team against tight ends. Arizona is historically terrible at covering the tight end, so I think he could leak out a little bit more, and I think missing Jacoby will impact him a lot more than it's going to impact any other receiving options. And then Ramondre Stevenson, I mean, he's pretty much a start and forget it. I think he's maybe like a high running back 2, or maybe low running back 1. Arizona isn't great on defense, so I think if New England wants to control the game, control the clock, I think Ramondre is just going to eat. He's a monster running through people, so don't hate him this week. Wouldn't spend up for him in DFS, but I do like him if you have him as kind of your probably second running back option. So overall, like I mentioned before, this feels like a must-win game for New England, who's kind of right on the border of staying in playoff contention. So I am going to go with them. I think Arizona is the better team, or the more talented team, I should say, on paper when they're actually healthy. But I just think coaching decisions are an issue. I mean, you're talking about one of the best coach teams with Belichick versus one of the worst coach teams this year with Cliff Kingsbury. So I think that's going to come into play. And I just think New England's defense is a lot stronger. So I think Arizona will either start slow or they will make enough mistakes to cost them, whether it's easy third down completions they mess up or a key turnover. I just think New England's going to find a way to get this done. That being said, I expect this game to be ugly. I would not be surprised if it's under 40 points total, like a 20-17 or a 17-14 type of game. I think it's going to be ugly. I think it's going to be controlled a lot on the ground. Obviously, you expect Hopkins to make a crazy catch here and there, and I don't think Kyler's going to be totally shut down, but I think whoever wins this game is going to be the battle between Ramondre and James Conner. Whoever really takes over, I think is going to kind of lead their team to success. So we'll see how it goes. This isn't really like a great feeling game this week, so I expect it to be kind of a toss-up, like a 50-50, so we'll see what happens. As far as some of my favorite guys of the week, we talked about this in the most recent podcast, so if you haven't checked it out, go listen as far as our streaming options and waiver wire pickups. But as far as quarterback, I am going Jared Goff hardcore this week. He's at 19.6 points the last 2 games now, so 19.6 points per game. And he's actually at 20.5 points a game at home this season. So the Lions play much better when they're at home. Goff does accordingly as well. Now they got Minnesota coming in, who the last 4 consecutive games have let quarterbacks go over 300 passing yards. So, I mean, you're kind of playing the recipe of success here. Minnesota's got a good offense as well. I think this is going to be a shootout, as it always seems to be. I think it was a couple years ago where the Lions and Vikings had like a 35-38 crazy game. So I expect this to be a shootout. I think Goff is a top 10 quarterback option this week, borderline top 8 even. So unless you've got kind of one of the locked-in studs, I'd have no problem starting Goff. At running back, I am really, really high on Tony Pollard this week. I am starting him in my guillotine league that I'm trying to stay alive in. I've also slid him into my DFS league that I tinkered the lineup with a bit. So if you listen to that on the episode, I did sub him in for Zonovan Knight and kind of spent some money differently to get him in. I think even with Zeke active, Pollard's going to go off against Houston. It's actually one of the reasons I'm down on Dak this week, just because I don't think they're going to need him. And it's like Houston is so bad that they make quarterbacks not do as well in fantasy. So Pollard, even with Zeke active these last 3 games, has had 18.3 touches per game, and I think he's just going to go off, whether it's receiving or rushing. He just seems to be the more efficient, more talented running back. But I expect them both to be probably top 15, top 20 options. I just think Pollard is going to be an RB1 explosion game incoming week. Those of you that are looking for like more low-end guys to start, I think a lot of people probably have Pollard already rostered in their league, so another guy I would toss out there that I have in my DFS lineup, we talked about last episode, was D'Onta Foreman for the Carolina Panthers going against Seattle this week. Foreman's averaging 19.7 touches. In the last 4 weeks, Seattle has allowed 168 rushing yards per game, so you're averaging that between 4 weeks. Deontay is good enough to do it, especially against a not great rushing defense. So I think they're going to ride him. I don't think they're going to lean on Sam Darnold by any means, and they can't get it done on the passing attack. So D'Onta Foreman, I think touches and volume alone will do well. Expect him to get over 100 total all-purpose yards, and you're just hoping for a touchdown. So if he gets to like that 120-ish range between rushing and receiving and a touchdown, you're pretty happy. As far as wide receiver, I'm doing the stack this week that I'm doing in DFS as well, but in the Lions-Vikings game, obviously Amon-Ra is great, but I'm rolling with DJ Chark. He's got 5 targets in all but 1 game that he's played this year. He had a season-high in yards last week, and I just think it's going to be a shootout. And then last week we talked about him, but my tight end streamer of the week, Hunter Henry, I think with the Cardinals defense that's allowing the most catches, the most yards, and the most touchdowns to tight ends this year, I think you got to like a guy when there's really no other options on the team that he's got to be afraid of. So those are my options. I think all of them could be plugged in as solid starting options right now for you, unless you've got an elite guy somewhere else, and we'll see how we do. So we'll keep you posted, guys. Thanks for listening as always, and appreciate you, Pod Squad.